Hey all, this is Frank from Technica here today to take you through the Dawn of War 2 multiplayer beta. Before we dive into a match, let's take a quick look at what you'll see when you boot up the game. Dawn of War 2 is a Games for Windows live title, so you'll be connecting to matches using live matchmaking and be subject to ranking with Microsoft TrueSkill. Dawn of War 2 features 4 of the marquee races from the first game: the Space Marines, the Orcs, the Eldar, and the Tyranid. Each of these 4 races has 3 basic heroes which you can select. These heroes have a variety of different abilities, but each one focuses on a specific strategy: offense, defense, and a varying support class. These 12 possibilities lend themselves to some wildly different playstyles. Do you want to be the offensively minded, chainsaw, sword-wielding Marine thrusting into the heart of battle? Or would you rather be the burrowing Tyranid warlord, creating tunnels for your brood and then sending them in to do your dirty work? The choice is yours. Once you've selected the race you want to play as, you'll be thrust into the matchmaking screen. Like most contemporary multiplayer games, you won't actually hunt for specific rooms when you head online. Instead, you'll gather your friends together before the game starts. In the beta, there are 2 modes: the 3-on-3 team battle and the 1-on-1 head-to-head battle. For this video, we'll be playing a head-to-head match. Now, right off the bat, you'll notice that the starting base is pretty modest. That's something some fans of the series are already having a hard time dealing with. More so than Company of Heroes, and especially the original Dawn of War, Dawn of War 2 heavily pares down the micromanagement and resource gathering aspects of most RTS games. For some, this will come as a shock. More than ever before, Relic's title focuses almost exclusively on low-level unit interactions and using cover and on-the-fly tactics effectively. I've started this match as the Space Marines with an offensive commander. This means that I'm going to be gunning to expand and move out as quickly as possible. In the head-to-head battles, the goal is to capture victory points scattered around the map. Capturing these map locations and holding them rewards match points, which ultimately determine who wins or loses. Now, also scattered around the map are resource nodes, which are the main source of fuel for your growing army. Branching out and keeping control of these points is key, as it was in the first game. But Dawn of War 2 makes these even more important in that what little base building the game does have is entirely centralized around capture points. You'll build power plants and other support structures out in the field, rather than at your base. Now, you'll notice that I've already defeated the Tyranid enemy's early batch of scouts, and have split my limited forces into 2. This would be one simple example of a divide and conquer strategy. Unfortunately for me, the large brood of Tyranid units from the enemy has hurt my own units. I'll need to get them back to a victory point or my headquarters to reinforce those units with extra squads. Those who've played Relic's other games will find this comfortably familiar. As the action plays out here, I'll spare you the play-by-play with soccer announcer-like enthusiasm a la the StarCraft 2 videos, but suffice to say that even this early, low-level match is already moving quickly. The enemy has captured the majority of the field, and I'll have to act fast to gain ground. I've stubbornly decided to stick with my divide and conquer strategy in an attempt to make up lost ground, but the massive armies of the Tyranid are well on their way to overwhelming me. Clearly, in a match against the Tyranid, the Space Marines will have to cope with the massive size of the horde. A divide and conquer strategy was perhaps not the best choice. You may have noticed that my units are leveling up as they battle. Leveling and upgrading individual units is very important in Dawn of War 2, especially for your main hero. Equipping various kinds of armor and weapons will keep your army doing more damage than it takes. Though the micromanagement elements are cut down, teching is still very important. With the right amount of resources, you'll be able to upgrade your main headquarters to produce more powerful units. In Dawn of War 2, units are tiered based on power. With a first level HQ, you'll only have access to the standard ranged, infantry, and heavy infantry units. After leveling your HQ once, you'll gain access to some light vehicles and more powerful infantry, and after leveling it again, you'll gain access to your most powerful vehicles. In a sense, this is a simplification of the original game, but this accessibility has also made the game much more fast-paced and interesting to play. There's less waiting around and less turtling with almost no reduction in the amount of strategy. The only difference here is that your main concern in the strategy is not on what to build and when, but rather how to fight and where.
On guard. Moving out. My fury knows no understood. No blow will go unanswered. Purge the tyrannid swarms.
Suppression is another gameplay element from Relic's past games that makes a prominent return in Dawn of War 2. The heavy infantry can be extremely effective at locking enemy units into position. Were I smarter, I would have used an artillery unit from my second tier teching to bomb the suppressed group in front of me. Unfortunately, hindsight is 20/20.
We shall secure those resources. Field resource site located.
Sadly, the battle takes a turn for the worse here from my army. This middle ground resource point has become the place at which the final stand for my team will happen. Without this point, my ability to produce units will be extremely handicapped, and I will lose to the speed and sheer numbers of the Tyranid army. My last-ditch attempt at survival showcases the most important aspect of the game's combat system, the cover system. Surrounding this resource node are some crumbled walls, which I could have used for cover. Evolving from the enhancements made with Company of Heroes, Relic's system in Dawn of War 2 makes cover a vital part of battle, and essentially becomes the key focus of gameplay when the battles are really fierce. Getting your units into the proper cover and placement during a battle is absolutely paramount to victory. You'll see what happens when you don't properly use cover in a few moments. Using their ranged attacks effectively, the Tyranid army is able to send me running for cover before rushing in and assaulting my forces. Using a combination of my hero's special abilities and the additional upgrades of my lesser units, I attempt to dig in for one last resistance, but the enemy proves to be too powerful and my tactical mistakes too costly. And so my army is defeated. Upon defeat, players will need to wait as a slowly decreasing penalty resource fee is requested in order to revive the fallen hero character. I haven't fully lost the match yet. Losing all of your units isn't the end of the game in this mode, but victory for the enemy is all but assured. Hopefully the Space Marines will do better in their next encounter. That's it for our quick beta walkthrough of Dawn of War 2. Hopefully you like what you've seen. For further beta impressions and the full review at launch, be sure to check out Opposable Thumbs at arstechnica.com.